Nobody wants to be chasing thousands of little deals when they could be hunting whales. You know, those epic-sized deals that will enable you to take the rest of the year off when they come in, if you chose to do so. The problem is that the CEOs who make those kind of large purchasing decisions, they're extremely hard to reach and even harder to influence when you do manage to get 5 minutes of their time. And having spent time with executives at Canon and Fujifilm recently, pitching my Photography Explained kind of side hustle that I've got going on, 10 minutes is sometimes all that you can get with these high power, highly leveraged individuals. Now, Liam has recently joined the Salesman.com team. He is an ex-Salesforce account exec, and he's going to break down exactly how to sell to a CEO or any other high-level executive and get them saying yes to your offer.
Thanks, Will. Now, selling to CEOs is a skill you need to have if you want to close more deals. So let's jump right in. Step number 1, know who you're dealing with. Here's the first thing you gotta nail: knowing who's who on the other side of the table. Selling to high-level executives is a bit different. They're usually incredibly busy, influential, and have a lot on their plate. So before you even think about your pitch, you gotta know who you're dealing with. Imagine, for example, you're selling CRM to a big company. There's probably a whole team involved, right? The person who actually uses the software every day, that's the end user. They might actually love your idea or product, but they're not the ones signing the $1 million check. That's the decision maker's job. We're talking about the CEO, the CFO, or maybe a VP. Think of it like this. There are 2 main groups you absolutely have to know. First, you have what we can call the final boss in the game, right? This is the person who holds the power to say yes or no to the deal you're working on. So if you could only meet one person, it would be them. On the other hand, you have the influencers. These are the folks, how should we say it, that can sway the decision maker one way or another. Maybe it's a head of sales who absolutely loves your product, or maybe the legal team who needs to make sure everything is above board. They're worth your time, but not as much as the final boss in our analogy. Now, here's the key. Don't get lost in the weeds trying to talk to absolutely everyone. Instead, focus on these 2 groups: the decision makers and the key influencers. Think, for example, about a complex sale you've been involved in. Can you remember perhaps who the decision maker was and who influenced the final call? All right, so how do you actually figure out who's who? There are 2 types of info you can gather. First, you have facts. These are things you can confirm with a quick search. Think of job titles, industries, locations, and even company size. Software, Google, even a phone call can get you these details. Then we have hypotheses. These are your educated guesses based on what you know. Stuff like current goals, pain points, and even their existing solutions are all guesses until you talk to them directly. Your first idea of who the ICP might be will not be perfect, and look, that's all right. We're aiming for a good starting point. We're not aiming to be mind readers here. So knowing who's who is absolutely crucial, but there are also some things you definitely don't want to do when dealing with a CEO. And we'll cover one of those sneaky pitfalls in the bonus section at the end of this video, so stick around. Step number 2, focus on the 80-20 rule. All right, so you know who the decision maker is and the influencers. Now what? Well, here's the thing. With a bunch of accounts and different products, researching absolutely everyone in detail can turn into a complete nightmare. So imagine having to be a human Wikipedia for every single prospect. You would absolutely go insane. Instead, let's focus on the 20% of high value targets that will give you 80% of the results. Here's how to do it. Let's say, for example, you sell, like us at the Salesman.com team, 2 things: a sales training platform and premium one-on-one consulting. Obviously, the platform is easier to sell upfront and makes more money overall. So we focus most of our efforts there. It keeps things simple and gets us more meetings. Now, if the platform pipeline ever ran dry, which we hope it doesn't, then we can move to the consulting side of things, which takes more effort but brings in a bigger paycheck. Think about your own sales situation. What's your 20% that brings you 80% of the results? So now you know who to target, but how do you actually get them to trust you? That's what the next step is all about. So let's dig right in. Step number 3, build trust, not just deals. All right, so you've identified your high value targets, but how do you actually get them to listen to your pitch? The answer is simple: build trust. Now, here's the deal: CEOs get pitched all day. They can smell a desperate salesperson from a mile away. So, if you walk in with the sole goal of closing a deal at any cost, you'll likely come across as salesy and pushy. Instead, flip the script. You want to think about, how can you genuinely help the CEO solve significant problems? Here is why this works. Imagine you're talking to a friend who's stressed out about work. Are you more likely to offer a helpful solution, or are you going to just pressure them into buying something? Obviously, you want to be helpful. The same goes for CEOs. By focusing on their success, you'll do 2 things. First, they'll feel good about you. People trust those people who want to help them. Second, they'll be more open to ideas. If they see you as a valuable resource, they'll be more likely to listen to what you have to say. Now, have you ever been on the other side of the table? Can you think of a salesperson you trusted and one you didn't? Why was that? Let me know in the comment section. I'm actually pretty curious. Now, our brains are constantly processing information, even subconsciously. So when you approach a CEO with a genuine desire to help, they pick up on those subtle cues. They feel respected, not pressured. Now, this builds a lot of trust, and trust makes them more likely to listen to your ideas and eventually buy from you. Now, Antonio Garrido shared some trust building wisdom on a recent Salesman.com podcast.
Well, first of all, one of the best and quickest way that we've ever found in 50 years to build trust very, very, very quickly is to actually say something that's against our best interests. And one of the things that we say against our best interest is, hey, and I'm going to tell you how to ask that question in a second. But the principle is this: let's spend a little bit of time to figure out whether or not we might be a good fit. And if we're not a good fit, that's fine. I'm okay with that.
Building trust is key, but there are also some other things you definitely don't want to do when dealing with CEOs. And this takes us to the bonus point. Bonus point: do not spam CEOs. They will hate it, and they will also hate you. Now, let's talk about something CEOs absolutely cannot stand: spammy emails. Listen, are you selling to big companies with CEOs like, I don't know, Mark Zuckerberg? Yeah, that's going to be tough. Getting them in your inbox is basically impossible. But here's the thing: there are other high-level decision makers you can target, like VPs, presidents, and even economic buyers. The key is this: whoever you target, ditch the mass email blasts. CEOs get bombarded with generic messages all day. So unfortunately, they won't be opening them. So instead, focus on personalization. Research the CEO's company, their goals, and their recent challenges. Then craft a short, targeted email that shows you understand their specific needs. Even if you don't get Mark Benioff on the phone, understanding the vision of, for example, Salesforce is still very valuable. Now, why? Why is this important? It's important because his priorities trickle down. Knowing what drives him helps you connect with other decision makers within the company. And I'm curious, have you ever received a sales email that felt, well, genuinely personalized? Whatever that email was, please share it in the comment section. I would love to absolutely know. And if you want to ditch all the sales jitters and crush cold calling, our next video tackles exactly how to do that. So If you enjoyed this video, please click on the video on the screen now, and we're looking forward to helping you make selling simple. See you there.